your head is divided in two sides. So one of them receives the 3D continuously. Let's call this part Hannah. No offense to any Hannahs. Hi everyone, it's Monica, your Quantum BFF, and welcome to my channel. Distinction between the 3D world, which we can see right now in front of us, the things we touch, the things we smell, the physical realm, and also the 5D world, so the imagination, the world where we create, the area where God lives, where the creation lives, however you perceive it. So there is a massive difference between how our brain and how our conscious and subconscious mind actually receives the two. So if you imagine your brain, your head is divided in two sides. So one of them receives the 3D continuously. Let's call this part Hannah. No offense to any Hannahs. And Hannah responds to logic. She sees logic. She understands logic. So Hannah will continue seeing and feeling and experiencing things that you can touch right here. So things that are perceived in 3D reality. Then on the other hand, you've got the other side of your brain, which is the 5D. Let's call him Brian. And Brian lives in a 5D creative imagination realm, in the place where everything is possible, in a place where we create our reality. And those two parts don't seem to be having a conversation, are complete strangers. Now, when Brian comes up with something in his 5D reality, he starts then being in that 5D reality, and he starts living and imagining himself in the 5D, which then translates into our lives, as we know, as a conscious creator. But the problem is, Hannah on the other side sits there and goes, oh my goodness, I can't do this. I can't cope with this. And she starts freaking out. And the reason she starts freaking out is because she doesn't understand the realm of 5D. She only exists in order for us to be safe. So she keeps us safe. She keeps us content. She keeps us in the 3D. So she keeps us in the realm of understanding, of feeling, of like, I'm going to touch this and I know it exists. That realm of 3D doesn't create. When we want to change something, we can't change it from the 3D. We have to change it from the 5D, because what we're observing in front of us in the 3D world is already been recorded. It's like it's already been done. And I like to use this analogy of watching a film in a cinema. You go to the cinema, you buy your ticket, you go and sit down in a dark room, and it's all great. And the moment the film starts, that film has already been recorded, edited, and now you're seeing it, which means you can't now edit the film. You're only here to watch it. If you want to make any changes, you have to start making a new film. And this is exactly how this works. In 3D reality, you see things that you've already done. You've already recorded that film. You already edited it in the past. So if you want something new to show up in your world, if you want something new to be available to you right now in your 3D reality, you need to start recording from a different place. And that's where Brian comes in, where he starts from the 5D, from the imagination, from the possibility. And he chooses, and it's like you choose a part of yourself that is like the highest version of the person you want to become. Because those two sides will never leave you. They will always be here, and they all have a job to do. But it doesn't mean that you need to stop the creation or stop your growth or stop your development because Hannah is having a moment. That's okay. She doesn't understand creation. It's doing things like, it scares me, but I will do it anyway because I know it's good for my growth. So you're not putting yourself in immediate danger, but what you're doing is you are actually saying, I understand, Hannah. I understand you're worried. I understand your limitations. I love you. And I'm saying this with love, but I'm going and moving on with the 5D. So I'm going and moving in with Brian, and I live there with Brian in his amazing penthouse, because he is the one that will create the reality that I want. He is the one that will create the life for me that I want. And that's where we're moving in. You're literally taking your bags and moving in with Brian, because that's where you need to be if you want to make any changes into your 3D reality right now. What some people get really put off by is the fact that they don't see results immediately. And sometimes when they start living from the imagination and start being in the best possible version of themselves in order to have what they want, things start to fall apart and they don't understand why. So they immediately retract and go, something's wrong, I'm not doing this correctly. But actually what happens is things need to start rearranging in order for you to have what you want. So sometimes that means that in order for you to get a really well-paid job or start a business that's going to really fulfill you on so many levels, you first have to give up the job you already have. So it might be that you lose a job. Or it might be that a relationship falls apart, but if the relationship was never serving you, then what happens is it's just being removed out of the way in order for you to be able to thrive and to be able to get the exact thing that you want. With Neville Goddard, it's called Bridge of Incidents. So sometimes we're building, sometimes we're taking things apart. And that is okay. This is absolutely normal and you don't have to worry about this. And also sometimes the old life, the film that I replayed, might still feed into your timeline as it is now. That is okay. As long as you're creating and you're living in 5D, you're living in your imagination, you might be a little bit delusional. Sometimes you just need to be a little bit delusional and live from your imagination, because you know exactly, Brian knows exactly where you're going and he will take you there. Well, on the other hand, Hannah just wants to keep you safe. But safety doesn't always equal happiness. We're here in the moment where we get to choose, do we want to be safe and carry on in the same loop, on the same pattern? Or do we want to stretch and do we want to be maybe put through some discomfort? Because growth sometimes requires discomfort, but the discomfort is temporary. If we give up and quit or never even try, the discomfort is going to last forever. But if you just do it, if you just take the step, even however small, if you just take the step and take another step and take another step, before you know it, things will start changing and you won't even recognize the life you live in, because it's going to be so much better than you ever imagined. But the key is to keep those two parts, be aware of those two parts. It's like having an angel and a devil on your shoulder. It's being aware of those two parts, treating them with love and respect, but also understanding their limitations. And understanding that one of them is just not able to imagine what the other one is seeing. But the creation doesn't sit in logic. Creation doesn't sit in 3D right now. Creation doesn't sit in the stuff that you can touch right now. Creation sits outside of us. It sits in the quantum field. It sits in the God zone. It sits in the universe. It sits in the creator zone. However you want to call it, but that's where Brian lives. That's where that part of us is living. And that part wants you to bring it to life. But sometimes it gets very stressful because you feel in danger almost, because that's when Hannah is having a panic. She feels like things are getting out of control and there is no longer logic that she can back up the actions. So that's why your mind will sometimes go and try to sabotage you to take you back to the safe place. But that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. It just wants to take the pressure away. It just wants to make this easy and very, very pleasurable right now. It doesn't want the worry. It doesn't want the stress. It doesn't want the uncertainty, because uncertainty is not safe. So Hannah will keep you safe, but Brian will get you going. And between the two, you can achieve absolutely anything. If you want to learn more on quantum creation and how to live the life of fullest potential, freedom, wealth, abundance, possibility, then subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. We have videos for beginners as well as slightly more advanced manifestors. I can't wait to see you there.